So, since the Tonemaster Pro's come out last week, everybody's been talking about its UI and its ability to dial things in really easy and a really easy format to use things in. So today I wanted to compare it to what I think is the king of UI, the Line 6 Helix. If it's your first time here on the channel, my name is Steve Sterlacci and I do all things with digital modeling gear from Helix, Fractal, Quad Cortex, Headrush Prime, now the Tonemaster Pro. So if that's your thing, consider subscribing to the channel. And what I really want to do is build a preset on each unit. As you can see, I'm on my floor. I'm not at no fancy thing with a top down. I do have a camera up here that's going to be filming the units, so we're going to be able to do things side by side here. And I want to build basic presets on each unit and just compare workflows. So the Helix obviously is enormous, way, way bigger, and I think a pretty good size amount heavier. I'm not sure of the weight off the top of my head, but we do have 10 foot switches compared to 8 usable. And then we have the same thing here where it's like foot switch mode, tap tuner, the tap tempo and the tuner. So we're getting 2 extra foot switches and a full expression pedal with the Helix. We have the 6 encoder knobs on the Helix here. And this is something that I really think has become overrated in the market today. The Tonemaster is 100% reliant on the touchscreen, and then it's going to have the dual function encoder knobs here where you can turn these. And we're going to get into this in a little bit, where I feel like supplemental touchscreen is going to be the best thing, where you still have these 6. If Line 6, if you get rid of these, I'm going to be very upset, because you're going to see how powerful it is to have these in a little bit. And I do think that the whole touchscreen dependent floorboard unit is, I think it's overrated. Also, just in general, the skeuomorphic, the images of the actual products really can't compare to Helix. Again, Helix is 10 years old. Tech is in a way different place, so I don't even think that the Helix screen can handle putting actual images. Even the Pod Go has better images than the Helix does in the software, at least. But Helix is stuck with the bland, generic icons where these are beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Being able to see everything like that is awesome, seeing the actual pedals. It also helps you for reference if you ever want to actually buy a pedal, or if you own a pedal, it'll kind of help you because sometimes they don't name them exactly the same as you're used to. So it's another benefit of having these, the pictures. People like pictures, don't they? But yeah, Helix can't compare in terms of the way the screen looks. But there's a lot more to just looks when it comes to dialing these things in. So without further ado, let's take a look at building a preset from scratch on each unit. By the way, use the desktop editors for both of these. Build your presets with the desktop editor. Life will be so much easier. And then make your adjustments on the fly at gigs or rehearsals using these methods that we're going to be talking about here. So first, Helix has set signal path. You can go from path 1 to path 2. You also have meters here. So you can send this path to 2. And then you have 2 lanes. With the Fender, you have these preset signal chains here where you can select certain parallel paths. You can select a mic path. You can do parallel. So if you're somebody that's going to put your cabinets in parallel, if you want to use 2 cabinets, for example, or just put effects in parallel, you have to do it here. So basically to add a block on either unit. So for Helix, obviously I have to use the joystick here, navigate over. This is typically where I put my amp. Then you scroll down. Let's say we're going to go with an amp, guitar amp. We're going to go to, let's just make life easy, deluxe reverb vibrato channel. I'm going to go next block. Then I'm going to go to my cabinet. I'm going to select dual cabs, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I'm going to do my US deluxe. So that I have a matching deluxe reverb. Let's do the exact same thing here. So now I'm going to change this to be a parallel, because since I selected dual cabs in the Helix, I think dual cabs is the way to go because you're able to blend 2 microphones. I think you're always going to get a better sound using 2 microphones. So now I have a parallel path here. So let's start. We're going to add block. You have to select where you're adding it. We're going to go to amp heads and deluxe reverb amp only. We're going to confirm that. Now we're going to add block, cabinets. Let's do the Creamback Deluxe. I'm going to add block. Hit that. Cabinets. Deluxe Creamback. And confirm. Okay, so we're at the same point now, and I don't know. It seems like the Helix is quicker, despite not having the touch screen. I think navigating the menus is quite easy. All you do is press this, and that's your both your add a block and your select the block. So instead of having to go add block, select where it's going, and then having to scroll the menu, everything's just right here when you're using a Helix. Now I would probably start at the front of the chain. Actually, let's say I'm going to put a compressor. I'm going to scroll to dynamics, mono. Let's just go with the red squeeze, and I'm going to bypass that. So I just added the compressor and bypassed it. Let's do the same thing here. I got to add block, or I could press this if I want to press it right there. I could do effects, and then dynamics and EQ, dynamic compressor, confirm, double tap. Oh, I can't double tap to bypass. So, and you have to pull it up and then hit bypass, right? I can't double tap to bypass. I actually have to hit the bypass button. Okay, so again, we're in the same area. Now say I want to assign that to a foot switch. With Helix, it's just this. And I'm assigned. So the touch capacitance foot switches are so good and so useful. I'm going to show you more about it later. But now if I want to assign on here, so I'm going to now have to hit foot switch assign, takes you to this blank canvas. We're going to hit plus. Parameter, this is where you can select what you want the foot switch to do. On off, we got to select the compressor, hit confirm. And now we have our bypass right there. And we go back. Okay, so Helix, much faster to do that. I really don't think that there's any comparison when it comes to assigning foot switches coming to the Helix. I mean, this was so well thought out with the touch capacitance stuff. So let's keep adding a couple things and kind of build a board. So I'm going to add a distortion pedal now. So I'm just going to move one over from there, go to my distortion, mono, and I'm going to go air parent, your Prince of Tone, standard thing. I'm going to bypass it because I want things bypassed to start. I'm now going to add a block. I'm going to hit that plus sign, which I was wrong about the other day when I made a video that you can't add things in between. Obviously you can. So now we're here. I've got to open it, and I've got to now hit bypass. So now I'm going to add a reverb just because with the Helix, let's just go with actually, no, let's go with a Legacy 63 Spring just because it's a little bit more appropriate. We're going to leave that on. On the Tonemaster, if you use an amp combo, the deluxe reverb will have a reverb up here for you, but obviously in this configuration, it does not put that in. So I'm going to now add this to the back end, effects, reverb, 63 spring, confirm. Okay, I still think Helix is working faster right now. We got 5 effects, right? Let's go crazy and assign these now. So for my tremolo, I'm just going to assign. All I have to do is touch capacitance. Boom, assign, delay, touch. Okay. Reverb, tap, touch. My distortion pedal, tap and touch, and I'm all assigned. Now let's assign on the Tonemaster Pro. Foot switch assign, plus, on, off. So pretty quick. I'm able to move pretty quickly on the Tonemaster Pro also if I'm just doing a bypass assign like that. Now this is where things can get interesting. The Helix auto assigns colors based on things. So reverbs are orange, delays are green, modulation effects are blue, distortions are orange, compressors are yellow. As you can see, everything comes out red and it's either on, off, and instead of being faded of the color. So if you're looking down on a dark stage, you can see that this is faded and you can click that and it'll brighten up. Whereas this is totally off. You can customize that when you're doing your foot switch assign. So if I go to foot switch assignments, I go to my compressor, I can select an active and inactive color. So say for comparative sake, I want that to be yellow, just to match things here. Royal tone, orange. So it looks like I have two oranges, two different types of orange on the Helix. So we have a little bit more color choice. Let's make cyan the reverb there. So there you can assign your colors. So now we're ready to play a show. Okay, this is all the effects we need. Now let's talk about if we need to make adjustments to anything on the fly. So typically I will leave this encoder on the amp because that's the one thing I don't have assigned to a foot switch, and I have these knobs available at all times. Typically I'll start from the amp when I'm making adjustments. If I need any of these to be touched, so say I turn my tremolo on and it sounds like absolute crap, all you have to do is tap it and all of the parameters pop up. Say my tremolo is good now. Now I want to adjust my drive pedal. All I have to do is tap it. All the parameters pop up with easy access to all of the knobs at the bottom of the screen here. It's not even close. And not only that, if I do make adjustments, I can see them as I check the bypass state. We're going to talk about that with parameter controls in a little bit. But now to make adjustments here, I actually have to open the effect, and the touchscreen sometimes is finicky. And now, yeah, I have all these knobs, which is great. This is awesome. You can make your adjustments here, and then you can exit. It's a single tap either way, right? I could either tap the foot switch and turn knobs, and then I can leave it though. Whereas here, I just have one tap, hopefully one tap, and then you have your knobs here. But now you also have to exit this screen. You can either step on exit or press exit, and hope that this is where you want it to be. You also lose all of your other foot switches. So if you were adjusting this quickly and you forgot to exit this, you lose access to all of your other stomps. So while you're adjusting this, I can still have access to my other stomps. Whereas this, I'm kind of stuck here until I exit it, and then I get my stuff back. Okay, next up, let's talk about parameter controls. So say if I'm building a solo boost, I want this foot switch, this bottom right foot switch, to give me a little bit more drive and a little bit more volume. So I can just hold down, make this controller this foot switch. I'll have a min value of, say, 7, max value 8.3, whatever. I'm just using arbitrary examples here. Then I hit home. And now when I press this, you see that number changing. I also want to do this for drive. Also going to change this. Now this turns into multiple. So now I'm going to make this, say when it's clean, it's 2.6. Dirty is going to be 4.5, right? This is just, again, arbitrary examples. So now I've got two things that are increasing when I hit this button. Now say I want my reverb to be a little bit more wet there. So now my min value, I can do the same thing here. Say my bass mix is 25%, right? I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to now select the same foot switch again. Min value is going to be, let's say 20. And max value is going to be 24. So now I've got a little bit of reverb built into here. And you can keep going with this. You can actually add a lot of stuff. Say for this, I want my delay feedback to jump up. Again, same process here. Scroll to number 11. Say my feedback normally is at 23, 22, whatever. I want this to up to 27, so I get a much stronger delay. Hit home. And you see all of this is happening with one foot switch. I think you can do like 30 something with this. You can actually do so many where it's really not limited. And you can also customize this. If I hold this, if I just tap here, whoops. If I tap and hold, I can just hit customize, and I can change this to solo, delete the rest. Then I have a solo button. If I want to change the color, same thing, customize, oops, tap some on accent there, customize, and I can make this pink as my solo. And now I have a solo button. Okay, so I just assigned a bunch of parameters, and something that's key here, I can see the parameter changes being reflected, so I can make sure that they're working without having to depend on hearing it. So look, you could see the numbers changing as we go. You can see those numbers changing. Great. Let's do the same thing on here. Oh, here's another thing. Sometimes these get out of sync. Okay, so look at this. I didn't even try to do this, but now my engage disengage is backwards. Maybe I did that when I did the colors. So now my active color is yellow. Am I going crazy? It says active color is yellow. This is active and it's yellow. When I press this, it turns it off. The yellow turns off, but the pedal goes on. This is something I think they need to work out here, because it's probably because I hit bypass in the beginning. That probably screwed that up. So now will it be in sync here? Okay, so you have to make sure that your light assignments are in sync. That's something you have to do. It's not like this. I mean, if I hit bypass, oops, if I go to my air apparent and I bypass it, the switch also goes off. So this will always be in sync. Anytime this is lit, it's going to turn it on. So that's something to be aware of on this, because now I just totally, if this could literally train wreck you on a gig, or if you're taking this to a rehearsal or something, this could actually really screw you up. This isn't always in sync. So now I've got to go back in basically and I've got to manually re-bypass these so that my foot switches are in sync. Okay. Got it. And reverb hasn't been touched. Okay. A little bit annoying there. So now this button I want to be my solo boost. Let's do it. So I'm going to go to foot switch assign, this bottom right, parameter change, go to my amp. Can I select multiple things here or no? No. Okay. Go to my amp, volume. This is my activated volume. So let's say that this is going to be 5.4. Inactive is going to be 25%. I'm going to add another parameter change. Amp level, which is the overall, I'm going to make 77. Inactive volume, I'm going to make 65. Whatever. Again, these are arbitrary examples here. So that now when I press this, I'm going to get a little bit more front end volume. I'm going to get a little bit more overall volume. I can also go to any of these parameters. Say my activated mix is going to be 28, inactive mix 24. Reverb we also did, right? So reverb mix activated, I'm going to say 28, inactive 23. So now I'm doing all of the same things pretty much with this, right? So now I've got my multi-assign here, and you can custom name it here, solo. Great. And we can make this also pink. Okay, so we just did the same thing on these back and forth, right? What I don't like on the Tonemaster Pro is that you can't see these changes being reflected. For example, if I open my amp, I lose my foot switch. So I understand why you lose your foot switch, because now I have all of my encoder knobs here. And also now, what happens if I go to change this? Because if I go here on Helix, this changes, but you see there's two notches there. And that shows me where my default is, where I have it saved, so that if I were to exit and come back to this, it would go back to those default spots. If you could see those little white dots in there, that's telling me where the sweep is of this controller, and it'll automatically bring me back there. You can see that happening. I don't have a way to check if this is working other than with my ears, which at the end of the day, you should still be doing anyway. But I would like to know that my reverb mix is at 23. Now I have to exit. I have to press the solo button. I have to open it back up. Now my mixer's at 28. So yes, it worked. I'm not a trustworthy person, I guess. Or I'm not a trusting person. Right now I've got amp level 7743, right? Now I've got 66 and 24. So it worked. This is where things are going to kind of separate, I guess, because you have snapshots in Helix where you can change all the settings you want and have 8 foot switches of different snapshots of any settings you want. Whereas on this, you basically want to save an instance of this preset and then save an exact copy. You could change all the settings you want, and then you can just page over to that one and be totally fine because you're going to have a seamless gapless preset switch. There is a way in Helix that you can, I'm just going to save this before I screw this up. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I forget to save sometimes. I'm just going to save these as new presets so I don't lose anything. So I can go to Global Settings, remove Path 2 to enable Spillover. If I hit OK, I still have everything here. Great, everything still works in this preset that I just built. But now I just enabled seamless preset switching. So if I were to change this to, and this is a preference. I prefer snapshots over presets because I don't usually use the preset spillover function. But I can now change this to eight presets, and now I can seamlessly switch between these two. So a lot of people are saying Helix can't do preset switching, but if you're doing a basic preset like this, as long as you don't run out of path, you can do preset spillover. Yes, you can only do, what is it, 2, 4, 6, 8 blocks, but I mean, having been using the HX Stomp XL on the road, that's really not a problem for me. Using 8 blocks is actually totally normal. Preset spillover, not really a game changer unless you want to keep adding things, but if you want to keep adding things, then why not just make a new preset with the different things, like save the same instance and then go change a couple things, and you can do your preset spillover and not have to make an extravagant signal chain. There's always going to be an ongoing debate on whether or not it's worth putting all of this time and effort into one preset versus multiple presets, but doing it this way, I think we're coming out a wash. Unless you really load up one preset on the Tonemaster, then yeah, you can fit more things, but you don't have to. So this is where things get interesting for me. If I turn this reverb on, I want to see it. I don't like that you can't choose 2 paths, top and bottom, because if I just tap this, do I know my reverb is on? Do I trust that it's turning on? I'm not 100% sure. You'd have to swipe over to see it actually turning on and off. The icons are awesome. I really like the way the icons look, but if I'm not able to see it, I don't know. I mean, with Helix here, everything is visible. So I can assign everything here just as easily here, and whatever I'm using, it's visible. Sure, you can't tell them apart, which is definitely a thing. I mean, not being able to tell them apart is absolutely an advantage to the Tonemaster Pro because they have the icons, they have the real look. So that's going to be really familiar if you know what the product looks like. Whereas this is kind of just these lame icons that, you know, it is what it is. They're all kind of these zigzags or the delay. It's all the same signal. You can't totally tell where you kind of rely on your scribble strips to tell you which one's which. But at least you could see something turning on and off, whereas if you're on this side, you can't see the royal tone being... Audrey's yelling at me. You can't see the royal tone being turned on and off like you can over here. So I would just like for it to be able to be seen top and bottom. So I covered a lot of ground in this video. I hope this wasn't too boring for you. Just wanted to share a few things of this back and forth and see whether or not Helix users think that you're missing out on the Tonemaster Pro. Sounds are a different story. We can get into that in another video. This was purely a UI comparison. Show us how you could change things and assign things. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions and what you thought of this video and anything that you want to see comparing these two in the future. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.